Donald Trump beholden to? That's the question. That's the question. And frankly, it's what New York Attorney General Letitia James wants to know. She is asking for more information about Donald Trump's $175 million bond in that civil fraud case. Specifically, Attorney General James wants to know about the insurance company that issued the bond and what Trump used as collateral. A hearing on the matter has now been scheduled for April 22nd. Chuck Rosenberg and Lisa Rubin are back with us.
So help me understand, Lisa, what is it that James is doing here?
So James has filed a motion for something called justification of the surety. I want to underscore, Alicia, to you and our viewers, this is not something that lawyers like Chuck and me looked at and said, oh, of course she's doing this. This is a little-known provision of New York insurance law that allows somebody who prevails at trial and then whose opponent appeals, posts a bond, to ask for more information about that bond, where, in this case, the insurer, this is Don Henke's insurance company, Knight Specialty Insurance Company, is not admitted with New York State, is not a regular doer of business in this state. He doesn't have what's called a certificate of guarantee that would assure most people, hey, they're good for the money. And what Tish James saw when they filed their financial statements as required by the court is, whoa, when I look at the difference between the assets and the liabilities of this company, I see an amount that is less than the face amount of the $175 million bond. That makes me curious. How is this bond collateralized? In other words, what assets did Donald Trump post to get this bond? And we're entitled to see it, court, because of this particular statute. So within 10 days of their filing last week, Don Henke's Knight Specialty Insurance Company needs to provide that information. If they don't, the bond is invalid. It will stay in place until Trump can obtain a new one. But the bond gets invalidated if they don't provide this information. And then Donald Trump is going to have to go out into the insurance market and find someone else to post this bond for him or post the security himself. I don't think we're going to get to that point, but we'll have a hearing on April 22nd where some of this will become clearer.
Okay, so Lisa Rubin, we were here chatting in the break, and even Chuck Rosenberg said, Lisa has read all the documents, so ask her first. Just to put a finer point on it and just, put it in layman's terms, when you buy a house, right, when you strike a deal that you're going to buy a house, you have to put a certain amount of money in escrow. When you have to put the money in escrow, you literally have to prove, one, that you have the funds, and then you have to they take the funds out of your bank account and put them somewhere else. So is the question here, did Donald Trump do that? And is that what they're trying to find out if actually happened? Like, where is this money? Does the money actually exist? Or, what is going on here?
I think they're trying to figure out something, Simone, slightly different than that. It's not, does the money exist? But assume that Trump gave Knight Specialty Insurance Company the right to seize something worth $175 million in the event that they have to post the bond. What is it that he gave them the right to? What did he pledge as collateral for the bond? Was it cash in a bank account? Was it bonds? Don Henke has given a number of media interviews. He's been surprisingly forthcoming with a number of outlets, including our own. But his precise statements about what the collateral is have differed a little bit. He told one outlet it was all in cash. He told another it was cash and a little bit of investment-grade bonds, but he couldn't quite remember. If somebody pledged collateral to me and I wasn't usually in the surety bond business, I would sure as heck remember what that collateral looked like if I was going to loan them or essentially put up for them $175 million. So Letitia James has reasonable questions to ask, and I think they will get asked under this provision of New York law.
So that's the part of this that's still the mystery, Chuck, in terms of where we go next here with all of this. You have, of course, Don Henke, who is the billionaire businessman who's providing the money after 30 surety firms said no, after banks said no. He steps up and puts up $175 million for Donald Trump. But now, he admitted that hey, we charged a little bit low on this. We didn't charge Trump a lot of money. Lawyers for surety companies say that they typically charge a fee between 1% and 2% of the face value of the bond. Henke's saying now he feels that the firm did not charge Trump enough because of what Letitia James is now raising with her scrutiny. What's your sense if you're in Henke's position, not knowing what's in his head at this point, but if you're the guy who's put up $175 million, you've undersold yourself on the fee, right? And now the Attorney General is not only asking questions about, okay, does Donald Trump really have the collateral here? But now the focus is turning on your operations. What do you think plays out here?
He can't like that, Michael. He may have been trying to help Mr. Trump. He may be a supporter or a friend or an admirer or a political ally. Fine, put that aside. I can't imagine that he wants to be in court in New York City answering questions about this financial arrangement. That was probably unanticipated. If it was, shame on them, because everything Mr. Trump touches tends to turn to litigation. I think there are probably some answers here that the Attorney General of the state of New York has to have, because what she's trying to do is protect her judgment. If she wins on appeal, and there is a $454 million judgment against Mr. Trump, $175 million of which is securitized, perhaps in some way, she wants to collect that on behalf of the people of the state of New York. She has every right to ask these questions. If Mr. Hanke and his lawyers didn't see this coming, shame on them.
So just real quick, I have to ask this, Lisa, what happens to the difference? I mean, it's a $454 million judgment that is secured up to $175 million. So if all of this plays out and Letitia James is successful, who covers the difference?
Well, Trump has to cover the difference, and how he does that remains a mystery, right? In part because it's not securitized for the rest, as Chuck just pointed out. If and when Letitia James wins on appeal to the full satisfaction of that $454 million, and by the way, that will grow by the day with post-judgment interest. If upheld on appeal, it will be substantially larger than that by the time we reach that judgment some months in the future. She will have to figure out where Donald Trump's assets are, which of them she can most quickly seize or enforce upon. Many of them are already pledged to other lenders. For example, we know that Axos Bank, in which Don Henke is the largest individual shareholder, has $225 million of outstanding loans to Donald Trump on just two properties, the commercial portion of Trump Tower and the Doral Golf Course at which he hosted the Live Golf Tournament this last weekend.
And there it is.
And that bank has problems. Chuck Rosenberg and Lisa Rubin, thanks for unpacking all of this for us this morning. Appreciate it. Coming up next, The Rock says he won't endorse a presidential candidate in 2024, and he's blaming cancel culture. That's a sentence I didn't think I'd be hearing or saying. But we'll talk about it next on The Weekend.